Hey everyone, my name is Dan and this is my new YouTube channel, Palmer GG. And today I'm going to be talking to you guys about what I learned from helping gamers and esports orgs sell more than $100,000 of merchandise over the last 6 months. Let's get cracking. My name's Dan, I'm the co-founder of a company called Tribefire, and we work with gamers on YouTube and Twitch and esports organizations to help them sell really high quality merch to their fans. And we started to realize something really strange over the past 6 or so months. What we realized is that it didn't seem to matter at all how big an audience the gamer we were working with had relative to how much merchandise they would sell. So for example, we would work with a YouTuber that had more than 1 million subscribers, and we'd get really excited and we'd launch their merchandise store, and then they would sell 5 hoodies. But then we'd work with a smaller YouTuber that had maybe only 30,000 subscribers or less than that, and they would sell thousands and thousands of pieces of merchandise. And what we started to realize time after time was that the size of their audience had no correlation with how successful a YouTuber they were. What we realized is that there was only one factor that mattered, and that factor is engagement. The content creators and esports organizations that we work with who sold the most merchandise were those that had deeply engaged, passionate fans, and nothing else mattered. Twitter is a terrifying place. It can be toxic, it's really hard to grow on, but at the end of the day, it is the most important platform for you to engage with your fans. It is the one place where anyone can come and ask you questions and you can interact with them. And it is crucial if you are serious about building a seriously engaged audience, which, as I've mentioned, is all that you really need to worry about building. And look, there's no real silver bullets to building your Twitter following. It's as simple as you have to keep engaging, responding with people, interacting with people. You have to have a strong personality and you just have to be relentless. So while Twitter is the best place to grow your public community, one thing we realized at Tribefire selling merchandise is that really great streamers took it to another level, and that was by using Discord servers. By building your own Discord server, you're building a place for not everybody to come engage with you, but for your most passionate fans to engage with you and interact with you regularly. And you can learn from them through conversation just as much as they can and want to learn from you. And that's why if you look at the data of the stores that we launched at Tribefire over the past 6 months, there is a clear delineation in that data that shows people who had their own Discord servers and thereby were fostering this platform for their most passionate fans to become even more deeply engaged. Those were the people who sold the most merchandise by far. So I've spoken a lot about why you need to deeply engage your community, but there's one thing I haven't touched on that's just as important, and that's your brand. And look, a lot of people hear the word brand and they're like, oh, it's marketing jargon. I'm just gonna leave that for the suits. But to be honest, you need to have a clear understanding of your brand and be able to describe it to me or anybody else in a sentence or two. Because your brand is the only reason why someone would watch your content over somebody else's content, why they would ever share your content with their friends, and why they would ever form an emotional attachment to your content. Your brand doesn't just have to be the quality of your graphic design or how catchy your name is or how good you are at a game. Your brand is the amalgamation of all those unique different factors that makes your content different to any other content. And that's essential if you're gonna build the relationships with your fans that are needed to grow passionate communities and needed to eventually sell merchandise. And too often at Tribefire, we began working with clients who had massive audiences, but just really couldn't sell anything. And that was because they failed to create a strong brand. There was nothing about their content that was so unique that anyone felt so passionately about it that they wanted to spend their hard-earned money on merchandise to support it. It's easy to create somewhat generic content around a really popular topic like Fortnite and get a lot of views. But if you want to create something sustainable, you need to have a clearly defined and powerful brand. And look, one little add-on to that point, please don't build your brand around trademarked or copyrighted material. Too often at Tribefire, we ran into content creators that just weren't able to sell merchandise at all because they had built their brand around all of this imagery that was trademarked. And that was a decision they made 5+ years ago, but now they're stuck with it and they can't take advantage of merchandise. All right, one last point and then we can get right out of here. But unfortunately, I'm not sure you're gonna like what I'm about to say. And that's that most of you watching this video are not ready to sell merchandise. At the end of the day, merch is kind of expensive. It's a luxury item. And what people don't realize is that only a small percentage of their fan base can even afford to pay for merch, no matter how passionate your audience is. And what people also don't realize is just how much effort it is to set up merchandise. You have to find a company like Tribefire. You have to work with us. You have to get designers to design all of your assets. And then you have to figure out how you're gonna market your merchandise, how you're gonna integrate it into your content, how you're gonna sell it without coming out like a sellout. There are a lot of factors that you have to figure out just to sell merchandise. And most of the time, you're not gonna get that value back in brand or money. You have to have a really deeply engaged community. You have to have a very strong brand, and it has to be somewhat sizable enough so that if only a small percentage of these highly tuned fans are able to spend on your merchandise, you still make value back enough to warrant the time you've spent setting it up. All of you can get there if you're not there already, and you don't need to be a massive YouTuber or Twitch streamer or international esports organization to get to that point. In fact, there are awesome examples of much smaller communities that are able to sell merch really effectively, but most of you aren't there and you need to keep on grinding until you're there. All right, everybody, we've finally made it to the end of this video. I am looking forward to diving into that bed, having a nap, thinking about my life. But before I can do that, I have to do the classic YouTube thing, which is beg all of you to subscribe to this channel right now. It would literally mean the world to me. Every single person that presses subscribe will put a smile on this dial. I'm making a lot of gaming content from here on in. I'll be talking about how to build gaming communities, content creation, and also I'll be doing a bit of gaming myself. If you don't like what I put out, you can always unsubscribe, but right now, there's nothing in the world that means more to me than you pressing that subscribe button. Also, if any of you want some help with merchandise, have any questions about some of the things I talked about today, I would love to continue this conversation outside of this video. You can drop some comments down below, or you can find me on Twitter at userlastname. Even if you disagree with me, I would really appreciate having that conversation so that I can learn from your point of view. Thanks so much everyone who watched this video. Have a 10 out of 10 day and I'll see you later.